Protests, strikes and counter-strikes have been the hallmark of the health sector for a long time, and the case has not been different in the new administration. What is new is the apparent increased interest of foreign nations and bodies, especially the United States government, to collaborate with Nigeria on issues relating to the health sector. Our correspondent Mary Alale Yusuf examines the last 100 days of the health sector under the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration.
May 2015, strikes and protests nationwide by health workers. That is what the new administration met on assumption of office, but the federal government would have none of it.
Management cannot sit and fold its arms in the face of violence, willful damage of property, and impunity being perpetrated by some misguided members of the union. Management firmly believes in the policy of no work, no pay.
Apart from the regular issues of unpaid salary arrears, retirement age adjustment, and consultancy status, institutions had internal complaints, like disagreements over privatization of some services, causing varying degrees of unrest in hospitals. Resident doctors were not long in following suit. They downed tools nationally in June 2015 over workers' welfare, especially non-payment of monies they felt accrued to them from the skipping of CONMES 2. But the strike appeared to be selective.
The government has done the needful. The directive has been given for the hospitals to implement. So hospitals where the management has obeyed the government, the directive of the government, they resume their working.
While insisting that monies for skipping were not included in the current budget, the government believes it has the answer to incessant strikes in the health sector.
One way of doing that is to curb impunity and establish rule of law in the management of trade disputes. Towards this end, the institutions of trade dispute management will be strengthened. The institutions of mediation, conciliation, Industrial Arbitration Panel up to the National Industrial Court of Nigeria. Of course, there is absolute need for capacity development of professional officers in the ministry.
It wasn't all gloom, as there were some positive developments following the visit of the Nigerian president to the United States. Promises of collaboration with the health sector from the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary for Global Affairs on the occasion of his visit to the First Consultants Hospital, which was a major actor in the Ebola crisis of 2014, and from the mission director of USAID during the groundbreaking ceremony of new pharmaceutical warehouses in Lagos and Abuja.
Our desire from the U.S. side to collaborate with Nigeria, to continue collaboration as much as possible, both technical and kind of political collaboration.
Stories of chaos and gloom appeared here and there, but the country also celebrated the passage of 1 full year with no new case of poliomyelitis. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
For an assessment of the health sector and its performance under the Muhammadu Buhari administration, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by Dr. Kayode Obembe. He's the president of Nigeria Medical Association. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10.
Thank you very much.
Is there much that you can talk about looking at the first 100 days of President Muhammadu Buhari, juxtapose that with the agitations that you've faced? I understand that you have been on strike for some time now.
Well, thank you very much. I want to tell you clearly that Nigeria Medical Association is fully in support of the president on his anti-corruption crusade. And what we are even saying that this anti-corruption crusade should be extended to the health sector. I want to say clearly that last year, the National Assembly budgeted about 17 billion to take care of all the allowances in the health sector, not doctors alone, all the health workers in the health sector. And by the beginning of the year, we found that it's only 15 billion that they were now talking of. We said, where's the rest? When you talk of 17 billion and then 15 billion, it's already reducing. But by and large, they were still paying. They were still paying these allowances to the doctors and to the health workers. And suddenly we started hearing there are phone calls from the ministry that they should stop it. I said, why? Why should they stop it?
Who made the phone calls to you?
We never knew.
Then why did you have to?
We now went to the ministry.
That stopped.
And we told them in the ministry who was making these phone calls. They denied it. They said nobody in this ministry is making phone calls. If you are not making phone calls, why did you stop paying the money? And up to now, some hospitals are paying and some are not paying.
How do you harmonize this just so that everybody is paid?
That is exactly what we are now telling the government, to please shine this anti-corruption light into the hospitals. Hospitals that are not paying, let us know the reason why they are not paying. Because if they are not paying, where is the money going?
What other challenges do you face as a body other than the payments?
Well, the other challenges that we face, and we are trying to make sure that we face these challenges squarely. I mean, for example, when doctors are on call at night, there's really no escort to accompany them in their duties. And on many occasions, we find that that's what causes the risk of doctors being kidnapped. And we have called on the government to do this and try to make sure, provide security for doctors on night shifts. And we have already even we have even visited the Inspector General of Police, and he has promised that. Also, when we are treating gunshot patients, many of them, we don't know where they came from, and the police continue to harass us.
I can imagine what's going through the minds of many Nigerians. They want this strike to stop. What would you prefer to try to get that to happen?
Oh, the simple thing for strike to stop in Nigerian hospitals is to make sure that the circulars that are issued by the government, they make sure that these circulars are cash backed. If you say that you are going to pay somebody, you are going to pay somebody skipping, you are going to pay relativity and so on, the circulars are there. Then when you are supposed to pay them what their entitlements are. If they are not entitled to it, they won't ask for it. And that is the reason why strike has been going on and on and on. And we believe that if you did not promise that these people are going to get this, they will not be making strike for it. And in any case, some of these conditions which we are asking for are actually to prevent strikes occurring in the health sector. We want peace.
Doctor, I want to thank you so much indeed for speaking to us on the News at 10. I've been speaking to Dr. Kaide Obembe. He's the president of Nigeria Medical Association. Many thanks indeed. The only survivor of the fire incident that occurred yesterday around Laonson area in Lagos State has died in the hospital. According to the Assistant Coordinator of Trauma and Burns Center, Lasuth Annex in Bagada, Dr. Ajibola Ishola, Chidinma was brought in around 2:35 a.m. on Wednesday unconscious with 17% burns. She eventually gave up the ghost around 6 a.m. today due to complications from the burns sustained from the flames and smoke inhalation of smoke. Chidinma's death comes barely 24 hours after 7 of her family members were burnt beyond recognition in an inferno that engulfed their home. Time now for business news, and Anwar Odo will be joining us for details.
Hello, welcome to Business News. The 113 vessels banned last July from lifting Nigeria's crude oil have been readmitted into Nigeria's territorial waters. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation today issued a statement saying the lifting of the embargo was based on the receipt of a letter of undertaking from all terminal operators, oil companies and off-takers in the Nigerian oil industry. The letter guarantees that the vessels will not be used for any illegal oil activity. In the meantime, the NNPC says the government has approved the setting up of an interagency committee to collect data and investigate the past activities of the 113 banned oil freighters. The statement says the committee will examine how each of the banned oil vessels had operated in the Nigerian territorial waters and advise the NNPC on the course of action to be taken. The Central Bank of Nigeria says the regulator will spend the next 12 months to appraise and position itself for a review to determine the possibility of relisting Nigerian government bonds on the JP Morgan Emerging Market Bond Index. New York-based bank JP Morgan on Tuesday announced the delisting of the 5 FGN bonds, citing lack of liquidity and transparency in the foreign exchange market. The CBN director in charge of financial markets, Mr. OKJ Emmanuel, says the position of JP Morgan is irreversible and that the central bank will not bow down to pressures from forex market speculators to the detriment of the Nigerian economy. Mr. OKJ says the CBN has communicated the JP Morgan FGN bond delisting to all commercial banks in Nigeria, and they have received support to maintain the market. Well, this notice from JP Morgan on Nigerian bonds expulsion has been affecting the markets recently. The benchmark index slipped further today, this time by 0.17%, to close the session at 29,403.12. Temple Ashaju has more.
Hello and welcome to Stock Market Report. JP Morgan's notice of Nigerian bonds expulsion from its index is still taking a toll on the stock market. The key benchmark index slipped further on Thursday, this time by 0.17% to close at 29,403.12. The most affected stocks in this load shedding include Cadbury, which lost 1 naira 45 kobo. Stanbic IBTC shed 1 naira 24 kobo, while UACN dropped 62 kobo in its share price. The appreciation of blue chips did not lift the market out of the negative territory, as Nestle was the highest gainer with 18 naira, coming ahead of Guinness and Dangote Cement with 6 naira 57 kobo and 1 naira 94 kobo in that order. On the volume chart, bank stocks took the lead as UBA, Zenith Bank and FBN Holdings reflects these figures that we can see on the screen. When the closing gong rang, investors had exchanged over 3 billion naira for 306 million shares, all in 4,650 deals. And that's it on Stock Market Report for Thursday. I'm Temple Ashaju.